All right, YouTube. This is 2 Cent back with my 2 cents on Octopath Traveler, and today we're going to be talking about the Gertrude Cup. Going to be coming out. It should be the next patch, so this next Wednesday, and I'm just going to kind of give you guys some tips. Kind of the weaknesses of the fight, some unit suggestions, things like that. Not an entire comprehensive guide for the fight because one, I've never done it before. But I've seen enough information out there about the cup that I feel like I can give you some useful information, so you don't have to go digging around in, old Reddit threads or stuff like that. So let's get into it. All right, so just super simple, right off the bat here. It's going to be daggers, bows, and fire. Going to be the weaknesses. She's going to be the only one out there. So all of our other arenas, we've had three units out there. The main tournament champion and their two little like minions out front kind of helping them. We're not going to have to deal with that this time around. It's just going to be Gertrude out there. However, there's going to be a compensation for that, and the HP is going to be 700,000 versus the kind of 300,000-ish that our previous champions were at. So do take that into consideration, is that the health pool is more than double, and so it is going to take you a lot to kind of chip away at this unit. The other thing about it is we see that it's got 9 shields there, which, oh man, that's pretty low. At one point in the fight, it will jump to 12, but those aren't high numbers, except when you take into account that multiple shield breaks per unit don't count in this match. So what I mean by that is, like, if you have an ability that does 3 hits, it's only going to take 1 shield, pending they're using the weakness, right? So the most you can get per round, if all 4 of your units are attacking right, is going to be 4 shields. So do keep that into account of what you're kind of bringing as far as skills and abilities. Is you're going to, instead of getting the multi-hit abilities that have maybe a less potency than a bigger hit ability that only has a 1 hit, you're going to want to transfer to that in this go around. So we'll give some examples of that as we kind of look at some units here of going for that higher potency, even if it's a 1 hit, just because you don't need multiple hits. So on top of that, we're also going to not be able to taunt her. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to be like Gilderoy or something like that and provoke and kind of protect my units, it won't work on her. She'll just keep smacking whoever she feels like smacking that time. So there is going to be a element of RNG to this fight where she's going to be doing some multiple hits, hit the same target multiple times, and be able to down them. So do keep that into consideration, as you might just fall victim to RNG for this fight. Lastly, before we get into our unit recommendations, is she is definitely going to be a physical hitter in this. So I hope you guys have been farming the Grand Port area and have gotten enough materials to get some armor. Make sure that you're getting that armor that has the extra defense on it, that physical defense. That way you can kind of try your best kind of luck in this scenario of being able to withstand her hits. From what I understand from people talking, is that the first arenas that we have feel much easier compared to this one. So there's going to be a jump in difficulty for this. So whereas Ritu felt like the easiest for the stage of the game that we were at the time when she came out, Gertrude might be one of the hardest for the stage of the game when she comes out. So we'll kind of see if that's what kind of plays out. That's just kind of the prediction that I've seen thrown around out here, and I do see that in some ways. So let's kind of look at some units that might kind of help circumvent that if you have them, or kind of find some other ways to kind of tune your team to help with that. All right, so we're going to be looking here just at our kind of character lists, and I can't say I recommend any warriors or merchants for this fight, with obviously that we're not getting a whole lot of, dagger, bow, or fire with any of them. So you're probably not going to want to bring any of those along, especially since we can't taunt the boss anyway. Definitely going to be a great pick is to bring Viola. Like always, you're definitely going to want to keep the enemy debuffed. You have a higher chance of surviving if they're not hitting as hard. So you're definitely going to want to bring that for the enemy attack down. Then you can also get a defense down too to help your kind of damage as well. And then maybe for a third ability here, you might want to bring like a HP snatch here, just because it's going to be one of the hardest hittings, and you're going to be able to heal back a little bit for her on that, just to give you a little bit of sustain should you need that in the fight there. So Viola, definitely going to be really great. Obviously, you're going to be prioritizing the debuffs on there and keep them going. And let's look here at Heathcote's going to be a good one as well. Another thing you want to keep look at here is the physical defense that they have baseline. So with Heathcote and Viola, we're going to have 280 baseline physical defense. And so that's going to really kind of help just in general for your team here. So do keep that in mind when you're kind of looking and making some decisions. That might be a contributing factor. If you can't keep your DPS alive, they just can't do damage. So keep that in mind. Heathcote's going to be really good though, especially when you're looking down here at this swift jab here. It's a 260 power, going to hit really hard. I would bring that along. So definitely him for that. I am going to be bringing Adele. I love Adele. She is going to be a little bit lower on this physical defense at 255, but I do like the idea that what I'm going to bring is after image. If you boost this to max, you get a guaranteed crit. It's already 260 power, going to hit really hard. But I'm going to make use of this passive up here of the when the enemy's poisoned, I get an extra 30% physical attack up. And I'm going to bring Venomize Pain. It's going to be a decent 230 power, medium chance to inflict poison for 2 turns. So that's just going to help, kind of sustain that kind of damage all along the way. And then for a third ability to bring for her, I'm thinking about bringing Utusimi, which is the dodge physical attacks buff from 1 to 4 attacks. So if I get kind of in a dicey situation, though we can't taunt, still she'll be able to dodge attacks if she does get targeted. So you might be able to throw this on, just kind of help out in those scenarios. So I'm going to be bringing her definitely. For those Therion enjoyers, we are going to have a dagger plus a fire unit. However, you're probably going to be bringing a physical attacking ability there for him. And looking at it here, we have we have Paralyzing Tooth. That might be the good one to bring. It's got 260 power, so keep that in mind for him on that. We also have him being able to restrain foes and a single enemy 15% attack and defense down. So it's definitely something that you can kind of pair with Viola to kind of keep her attack at the lowest possible area there for you. And then Ritu, she's not going to be a bad one. Go ahead and bring her along. She's got her Unparalleled. It's a 290 ability. So that's going to be nice, just kind of bring out there and hit really hard with as well. Definitely kind of looking at it, you have this in the second when she has the 10 plus shields, you can get double the power if you're using Formidable. So keep that in mind. That's kind of where we're at. We have Nicole here as well. She's actually another one with a decent physical defense of 275. So there's nothing wrong. You could bring her along as well. She's just not going to be quite the attacking sort of powerhouse as some of the others, but going to be useful for her if you have a space on your team. Okay, let's take a look here at our hunters now. So Scarecrow's been out for forever. I wouldn't say he's the best possible one to bring to this, because look at this physical defense, 223, very low. He is pretty squishy, so do keep that in mind that you might end up just kind of losing him pretty quickly. But you could bring him if you absolutely have to. He's got a lot of multiple attack abilities. In fact, here his best on a single hit ability thing here is the Lacerating Arrow. It's only 170 power, but it does have a chance to inflict bleeding. Not a great choice, but if you need somebody, he's here. We also have our Hannette here. Once again, physical defense low on our bow users, which is why I think a lot of us are going to kind of, if we have enough thieves or fire units, we're going to kind of pivot to that direction. So we do have the bow single targets with the guaranteed crits. So do keep that in mind. We have the 230 power one here, the crippling shot. So I think this is probably what you're going to end up bringing for her here. What also nice is she has pugnancy here that gives 20% defense up for her. So if you're really struggling to find other ways of buffing defense for your team, this is a way. So do keep that in mind as well. We have Xanta here. Xanta is 238. So if you're seeing a kind of a trend here, is that bow users just don't have a whole lot of defense to go around. So do keep that in mind as you're looking at that. And we have a 230 power single bow hit with fatal shot. Ability to give himself some self regen. I don't know if you're going to be using that as to save your team anyway. You probably are going to hope that your healer stays alive and that they don't have to worry about that. So that's kind of looking at hunters. Now, as far as particular like other fire abilities here, we do have Cyrus. Cyrus actually has 281 physical defense, which isn't too shabby. It's not the 330 elemental defense he has, but 281, it's better than those bow users we had. And so we're going to have the fireball, that's a 230 potency that you can utilize here. So keep that in your back pocket should you need it. And yeah, that's Cyrus there. I don't think any of the other scholars are going to be somebody you're going to be bringing along. Let's take a look at some clerics here. If you have Agnes, I do think she's going to be probably the best one to kind of be bringing along for this fight. Mostly just because you're going to get your regen. Obviously you're going to have to do the max boost for the full front row, but you're going to have that. And then you're going to be able to bring a raise along. This might be a fight that's going to be really nice for that, in case you do have some RNG troubles. You can bring raise to bring them up. And then there's also protect here. So this full front row, 15% defense up, going to be invaluable for this fight. So that's probably the three that I would take here. If you have room for a fourth, or you kind of want to switch around, maybe you're going to risk not bringing raise for the fight, which is fine. You can bring just the cure for the full front row heal, and that way it'll kind of be there in case you can't heal everybody with a regen. You do have that as an option as well. Let's see, your other healers here, should you need them, you can kind of bring them. Liana isn't going to be bringing much to this fight, just because we're not going to be able to utilize any of her weaknesses here. However, she is going to be able to bring attack and magic down for an enemy of 15%. So if you have her, you want somebody else who can also bring a little bit of healing for your team, just to kind of help out with that. Maybe she brings your revive, and maybe she brings a heal, and then she brings a single enemy attack down, and then you can kind of work that with that for your team. To kind of maximize that. So that's some options for you there. Of course, we have our dancers that we can bring Lynette for our kind of a buffing ability there to kind of get your damage up. So that's always going to be good. Same thing that you would normally have with her. She is going to be, able to inflict some fire damage here to help kind of with the shields. She's got this 170 one hitter up here, but then this Waltz of the Chrism and Lotus inflicts some fire defense down, and she's got a good power on that. You could bring that if you would like to help, especially if you are bringing Cyrus. You can help kind of debuff for him to lay some big hits on later on. So not horrible here, so keep that in mind. Primrose, going to be somebody else that you can kind of bring for that front row defense up. So if you don't have Agnes, or you want to pair with Agnes to get that full 30%, as well as getting some attack out of it, she is going to be a good one for that as well. So not an extensive list for you guys. However, if you want to name any other units that you think would be really great, go ahead and put those down in the comments section. And I wish best of luck to everybody in the fight. And that's been my 2 cents.